Hey everybody, this is So Many Sequels, your book club for movies. I'm Josh.
I'm Garrett.
And I'm David.
Welcome. I don't have a good song for So Many Santas.
We need a jingle bell. Like, we need some hotkeys up in here. We need some jingle bells.
Is there a royalty-free Christmas music?
There almost definitely is. Whoever's editing this could look into that. Yeah, welcome to So Many Santas 2024. Another year, and we're still not out of Christmas movies, mainly because there's like 60 new ones every year. Now, Are they good?
And we only do like 3 or 4.
Maybe they're not. We're going to find out today about one of them. That is, of course, Hot Frosty we're talking about today. We'll get to that a little in a minute. But let's just kind of take a few minutes here to talk about the start of the Christmas season, the Santa season. We also got loaded up here. 8 Crazy Nights is coming later this month. Mm-hmm. Christmas with the Cranks, a classic. And It's a Wonderful Life, an actual classic.
Yes.
So, David, you picked 8 Crazy Nights. Mm-hmm. Garrett, you picked It's a Wonderful Life, and I picked Christmas with the Cranks. What has informed our choices this year? What is our thesis before we go into this?
I think I had mine picked the earliest.
Really?
And it's 100% because of TikTok.
Really?
Have you guys seen 8 Crazy Nights? Either of you?
No, I have not.
No, I don't know either. I think it's one of those that I've only seen like bits and pieces of.
Okay, well, there is a song towards the end that became a popular TikTok sound over the course of like September and November. And it's a classic TikTok style setup where you have a character sort of lamenting something and pouring their heart and soul out, and then 2 annoying characters suddenly swoop in. So everybody has been making it like, me trying to focus on my schoolwork or something, my annoying brother's coming in, or my roommates having whatever, right? So it's a classic setup. But anyway, the song just keep playing and playing, and I remember watching it as a kid and thinking it was a very funny movie. So I was like, you know what? We need a Christmas movie. We needed a Christmas time movie. It's technically a Hanukkah movie with a little bit of Christmas in there as well. So I wanted to do that. Plus, I thought it would make for a really interesting conversation. We got to review an Adam Sandler movie earlier this year with Happy Gilmore. So I thought it might make... And we did Uncut Gems. So this is going to be a year of
the Sandman.
This will be our Sandman trilogy of 2024.
Okay, I love it. So, what led you to It's a Wonderful Life, Garrett?
You too. Counter programming, really. But then I started to think about it, and it was like, we've done a lot of modern classics, but we haven't done a lot of classics. And so I thought, what is the oldest one I can think of? And that was It's a Wonderful Life, because there's a chance we can get the oldest man we can think of on the show as well, and that is Santa. No, it's Andrew, possibly a friend and former co-host of the show. It's one of his favorite movies of all time. He talked about it a lot, so we might have a special guest, maybe. Who knows? But James Stewart. I've never seen it, to be honest with you. This is, honestly, I've not seen any of the movies that we've done this So Many Santas, so it will be a first time for me in every single aspect of it.
Well, I will say this, Garrett. Once you watch it, So Many Sitcoms episodes are going to make a lot more general sense. Because
I get it based on the sitcom episodes. Yeah, based on the sitcom episodes, I know most of it, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, then your thesis for the month is seeing brand new to you Christmas movies. You're going into uncharted territory.
I know.
Christmas with the Cranks, for me, I was trying to find... What I really wanted to do was find something that I felt like had some bit of the old childhood Christmas nostalgia a little bit intact. And I was struggling to think of anything that we hadn't already done, because we've just covered so many of those great classics from our childhoods that it's getting harder and harder to hone in on that. So I thought, well, there is a person who does this just as much as some of his movies, and that is Tim Allen. Mm-hmm. Should I look and see what other remaining Tim Allen Christmas movies there are? And Christmas with the Cranks appeared. I've seen it a couple times. It is aggressively fine, if I remember right. Like, we'll see when you guys watch it. You guys might love it. Maybe I'll love it again this time. I don't know. It's Jamie Lee Curtis and Tim Allen play a couple who are basically about to be empty nesters for the first time. Their daughter's going off to college, and she's not coming. I think college. I could be misremembering. But anyway, she's not coming back for Christmas this year. So they decide, well, forget Christmas then. We're going to have a time for ourselves, and we're going to go on like a cruise, I think they decide to do. Well, surprise, surprise, daughter decides to surprise them by showing up for Christmas last minute, and they have to throw Christmas together for the sake of their daughter, and that is the plot, the premise of Christmas with the Cranks. And if that doesn't feel like the old wacky Christmas shenanigans movies that would come out when we were kids, I don't know what does. So I'm hoping that we can get some fun out of that one.
No, we've definitely, I think, covered a lot of the stuff that we...
He's good.
Oh, yeah, Dan Aykroyd. So I confuse this one a lot with the one with Danny DeVito. I think there's a Danny DeVito, Matthew Broderick. Deck the Halls. I confuse these two movies a lot, and I don't know why.
We might get there
But they must have come out around the same time. But I do think we've covered a lot of the movies that were Christmas movies for us as kids in the 90s and very early 2000s. This one came out in 2004, and I think it was kind of right when we were getting out of Christmas style movies being interesting to us. I think we were all about 14 or so. So it was like, but I'm interested to go back. So I've never seen this one either. I can say, slight preview for our So Many Sequels Wrapped later this year. I think this will firmly cement Jamie Lee Curtis as our most watched actress in terms of films we've reviewed. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, yeah, Halloween helps with that a lot. So yeah, we got a fun month planned, a lot of Christmas shenanigans. So be sure you subscribe to the show on YouTube and your podcast app. Let's get into today's topic, though, which is hot frickin' Frosty. Stupid sexy snowman. I've been calling it to myself.
Stupid sexy snowman. Get that trending.
Tell me that's not what this movie is.
Snowman.
Hot Frosty is one of the latest Netflix Christmas movies. This one stars Lacey Chabert and Dustin Milligan, I think. Is that what we said earlier?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're the main characters. We also got Craig Robinson. People know him as as Daryl from The Office. And Jolo Truglia, Officer Boyle from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. They team up as cops in this one. So Letterboxd gives us a premise of when a young widow's magic scarf brings a dashing snowman to life, can he help her rediscover romance, laughter, and holiday cheer before he melts away? Like I said, this is one of the big Netflix Christmas releases of the season, so that's why we landed on it. What kind of expectations did y'all have going into this? I would love to know that.
That's an interesting question, Josh. I reached a point where, with these movies in particular, I'm never sure if they are supposed to be taken seriously or with a strong sense of satire. And so I had heard other people say that it was really fun and that it was just kind of stupid. And so that's kind of what I went in. I went in with it being satire, and they are going for over the top and silly and dumb, if you will, and just kind of campy fun Christmas. And I gave it that lens, and man, it did it. It really nailed what I thought it was going to be.
I'll have to agree in many terms. My expectations were ice cold. I was ready for this to not be very good at all, to be kind of laughable. If you want to know my personal thoughts, I think the floor for most of these, or maybe not the floor, but I think the start for most of these Hallmark / Netflix Christmas, white couple in green and red movies is 2 stars. Like, that's the starting point. Like, and it's got a lot to overcome if it wants to get up into like the 3-star range. Yeah, this, I was actually a little bit surprised. I thought it had a good sense of humor about it. So I'm really interested to talk about it as we go.
I think my expectations were a little more in the middle of what you guys just described. I was kind of like thinking it would be a little too cheesy in a negative way. I was afraid it would be a little too schmaltzy with the romance stuff. But I actually felt like what I got was something that leaned into what it was, which is exactly what you described, Garrett. Something that is a little more satirical and knows it is. There were a couple points in the movie where I felt like it really winked at that, but the one that really sold it to me was towards the end. She goes, "You guys, you just buy that he's a snowman?" And the other lady goes, "It's Christmas." And I was like, "Well, then okay, yeah, sure, And like, so do I." Yes, and so now it is. Point. That was the point where I'm like, okay, this movie knows what it's doing, and it doesn't feel too schmaltzy or anything. I didn't think. So I was pleasantly surprised, I have to say. I think it sounds like we were all pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, again, word of mouth helps. I'd heard people talking about this in a fun, kind of positive way. And if you're going to do something like this, you really got to know what you're doing. And I think this movie did. David, you're right. There's so many different versions of this kind of movie. And there are moments throughout this one where I'm like, oh, I've seen that in this movie over here. For example, there's a moment where Frosty, Dustin Milligan, for the first time is seeing... Yes, thank you, Jack. He, for the first time, is watching TV. And he is dumb man blown away by the TV and the things that he's seeing, and he thinks it's real, and he's doing the Nosferatu scary thing, and I have seen that in this kind of Christmas movie 842 times, I think, where it's just dumb man sees TV, specifically the TV, every time, and they just lose their mind over it. And so that was one of those moments where I was like, okay, this is a little shticky. But they wink at themselves, and I appreciate that. And Lacey Chabert's done these enough to where she knows how to do these kinds of movies. And so she was a great lead to have in this kind of role, and then to let other people kind of play around her.
Yeah, for sure. So to get a little more into what the ridiculousness of this movie is, it opens with a narration of sorts, kind of talking about... even the narration is like, hey, get over it. This is going to be weird. Sometimes there's a Christmas magic and things like that. But what we've got is this small town of Hope Springs, which only exists in Christmas movies and Gilmore Girls, I think. Towns like that. They have a snowman contest. And that's really as simple. Like that it is. The plot is pretty thin in that regard. Like that's it. We don't even learn anything about it. We kind of just are there and it's done.
We don't even know who makes the snowman.
We don't even know who makes the snowman. And at this point, we don't even know that her husband, or we don't know anyone's dead yet. It's kind of just very forced on us that she talks to this hunky looking snowman in the town square, puts a magic scarf around it, and then the next day he naked and real. That's the movie we're
moments
dealing
later,
with here.
he comes to life in a very the moment that he comes to life, the movie had a choice. Is it going to be a Christmas movie, or is it going to turn into a horror film? Because that's the kind of vibe. Because he starts transforming, and it's the classic Nutcracker, dun 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 dun, and he's you see his shadow deforming, and turning into a real boy. And I was like, this is kind of scary. They really could go a different way with this now.
It wasn't as transformational as the American Werewolf in London transformation.
Can you imagine?
If you remember that.
He starts stretching and comes to life, and his face slowly turns into stuff.
Missed opportunity. Netflix got all that money. Come on now. They could have done that.
Yeah. And from there, it's just kind of it gets very silly, but everybody feels like they're more in on the joke than they are in a lot of these kinds of cheaper looking movies. It doesn't quite beat the SNL sketch turned into a feature-length film, but it has its moments. It's very funny. Personally, I think that the highlight for me, you mentioned them earlier, are Joe Lutrillo and Craig Robinson as the sheriff and deputy. I was really waiting for them to come back on screen at any moment, because as soon as I saw them, I went, whoa, Craig Robinson. I said, okay, I'm in. Let's keep it, because they're gonna have fun with this, and they did.
They are great. I actually have a critique of them, though, and I don't know that it's their fault. I actually think that they were both really underused for how funny I know that they both are. It seems like if they had just let them play a little more, like they're just a couple Barney Fifes in their little town who are like, Craig Robinson's character is the sheriff, and he's so proud that there's never been a murder in his tenure, let alone the fact that there hadn't been one in 100 years. It has nothing to do with him. But he thinks he's the protector, and he's just a dummy. And then you got Joe, or I don't remember his officer name, Ed, I think. You got Officer Ed, who's just like his dim-witted Don Knotts, kind of. And I think they could have had their own movie, honestly. I would have watched the movie about them chasing the come-to-life snowman and forget the rest of the romance. But
yeah, I agree.
They were great for what they had, but I just know they could have been better.
No, who's to say they won't? Because Netflix has got a big Christmas circle. I'll talk about that in a minute. But go ahead, David. You were saying something.
Oh no, I agree. I kind of feel like to kind of what Garrett was saying. I kind of feel like the weakest part of the movie for me is Jack, the Frosty character, because like he's going through this sort of Encino Man evolution, and it's like it's all been seen and done before, and you could have had more fun just letting these two. This at the very least, this one overly serious sheriff and his deputy, who's kind of smart but also kind of dumb, having them be frequently outwitted by a man who just came to life as a snowman, and just kind of skip all the boring, I just came to life. What's a water? I'm on his radar. Like he's like Jack's a snowman, but he's just super dumb.
That's a tough character to play in a movie like this because if you're looking at it from a satire perspective, that character usually is that way in the movies that aren't looking at like literally that exact same level of stupid is often what is portrayed in a lot of these kinds of movies. And so if they're supposed to be taken seriously, they're all a little bit over the top, and every dumb partner in these kinds of movies is played that way. So that is I almost feel like it would have to be he is still not understanding that he has come to life, and he is like, I am a snowman, and that is kind of how you play that. And she's like, no, I don't know, you have to kind of flip it in a way that doesn't make sense if you want to the full satire thing, because he was the one who was like the weak link, the Jack character.
Yeah, and that's why I think they like leaned into the satire, but I don't think they were really doing a true one. I think there was a little bit of earnestness to it, which is you gotta have for Christmas. I don't know that a true satire would even work, because it does have a lot of heart still. You know, I felt some Christmas spirit from the movie. I don't know why. It's stupid. But
no, it's not. It's
because
they all fill that same kind of message. Again, all of these movies, they're to a level formulaic to where you can kind of layer them over the top and just see the similar kinds of builds in the different scenarios surrounding the characters, right? The setting changes, but the characters somewhat remain the same.
I want to talk about how we, the audience, and Jack, find out that she lost someone to cancer because he's snooping around in her stuff. Yeah. And it's also just kind of like brushed aside. Like, why are we finding out this way as the audience? I feel like it's like that letterboxed opener literally describes her as a widower, but we don't know that for a while. And then when we find out, it's still kind of like, oh, but he's cute.
Yeah, and somebody pointed out on TikTok she keeps like this nice wedding photo, this AI generated wedding photo of her and her husband with the cancer diagnosis. Like, why are you keeping these together?
It's funny that you mentioned the AI-ness. One of our Discord members, Matt, he posted a review of it, and he called it the Canva-ification of movies because he said he could point out all the posters in the background that were clearly made in Canva.
Yeah,
for sure.
So that was that was funny. Yeah,
there were a couple of elements like that where I was like, all right, no, that doesn't look right. That doesn't even look like good Photoshop. That looks like we spent some time in Canva for sure.
Going back to the widow aspect, Josh, it was at the moment of the reveal of the cancer where I went, so did they get like a divorce or something? Like what happened here? Because it's teased throughout the movie that she is single and that something has happened and she doesn't like the word love because it takes, and so that to me seems like she has been hurt in a way, like someone like hurt her, like there was a divorce,
Yes.
there was a bad marriage, it wasn't like a death. That
Right.
So that kind of came out of nowhere of like, oh, cancer, like, but it was literally the moment of like, so what happened to the cancer?
Oh, cancer. And I love the subtlety of Jack the Snowman just going, "What's cancer?"
What's
Yeah.
cancer?
Like, yeah, you just say this to a woman who just lost her husband of who knows how long. And I did look at my wife and just say, "Hun, if I die of cancer, just please don't date a snowman."
I love it. You know, it brought back in the very beginning. She's delivering sandwiches or something, and this old lady tells her, "What is it? Something along the lines of good things happen when you wait out in the cold." Or something like that.
Something like that.
Both times I watched it, I thought, does it? What a strange thing to say to someone whose husband died of cancer.
Stop trying to sound wise, you kook.
Right. Like, it's like she's telling her, you need to go out and be uncomfortable so something good will happen. Like she didn't just experience heavy grief.
It's
just the wrong time, I thought, to say that kind of advice.
Can I tell you a weird theory that I had, a running theory I had for the show, for the movie?
Yeah.
So we're introduced to this lady and her husband who own a clothing store that Jack robs. Long story short, and
'Cause he's naked.
you know, Lacey, she this is the lady that gives Lacey, Shea Bear's character, the scarf. And she goes out and puts it on a snowman. And it comes to life, and because of the presentation of her and her husband, midway through, I got sort of convinced, oh, her husband was a snowman. And that's why she gave her the scarf. She's like, she needs help. I'll give her the magic scarf. It made him and I kept waiting for the end of the movie to reveal, like, I remember when I met you standing out in the cold on the night of the snowman competition.
David, I forgot that I also had that thought for a brief moment, but then nothing ever came of it. But yes,
No.
the way it was presented is that woman also used a scarf to turn a snowman into her husband. Yes, I agree.
Because her husband seemed so cool, so nice and so affable, you know? Like, he was like, yeah, they can keep the galoshes. Like, he did not seem bothered at all. Someone stole his shoes. I was like, this man's a snowman. This is going to be a weird snowman place. All the men in this town are snowmen.
Wow. That did not occur to me. But
It didn't last near as long as I had moved past it once we got deeper into the movie. But yeah,
It's true.
Let's talk about the Netflix Christmas cinematic universe at play. This is the next entry in that, and that is a very real thing. If you're not familiar,
This is news to me.
oh
Please.
no, the Netflix Christmas cinematic universe is real. I believe it started with the Princess Switch with Vanessa Hudgens several years ago.
That sounds familiar.
And the basic idea of this is, something that you could experience with any cinematic universe, is that these movies cross over and they appear in each other's things, and there's a lot of crossover. And in this one, when Jack is enamored by the TV, he sure watches a lot of Netflix original Christmas movies, and that's where the big tie-in happens. In fact, one of my favorite lines is they turn on the TV and there's a scene playing from Falling for Christmas, I think, starring Lindsay Lohan, which prompts Lacey's character to say, she looks like someone I went to high school with, which is a very fun Mean Girls reference for Gretchen Wieners and Katie.
Yeah.
Love that.
Love that.
This is where
Love
I fell
that.
in love with Lacey Shea Bear.
Yes.
Was in Mean Girls.
Yes, of course. So that's fun, and I just love that that's a thing that exists now. And that's usually how it appears: is someone is watching a Netflix movie in another Netflix movie.
So it's not so much a shared universe, so much as there's interlocking there with their movies exist in each other's worlds.
If you wanted
is Jennifer Coolidge in one of these? I saw her.
Yes,
on the TV
I was
at one
going
point,
to
too.
ask that same question about Jennifer Coolidge. And David, I think the word you're looking for is, in this general sense, you would call it a synergy, as they just want you to keep watching Netflix original Christmas movies. And so if they can work those in there however they can, they're going to do it.
I'll tell you this, it makes a heck of a lot more sense than... Do you guys remember a year or two ago, we watched Hocus Pocus 2, and there were characters watching the first Hocus Pocus in that movie? It makes more sense than that.
Yeah. What was the one with Jennifer Coolidge, Josh?
Yeah, do you
That's
know
what
that
I
one?
was trying to find real quick because I know that she was in one, and that was a reference to it, obviously. But I don't remember what it was. I
Sure.
don't remember what it was called.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because that seemed
But it
like a
is a part
very
of it.
brief cameo, so I assumed that's what it was for, but that's one I couldn't remember. So,
Single all the way.
Single All the Way. Great
yeah.
title. Man, I'll tell you what, Christmas lends itself to so many pun titles.
It does.
I do want to say, I think that this does feel like a Brendan Fraser movie about 25 years too late. I feel like I could have easily seen him in this Frosty role in circa 2001, 2002. And I think it would have been better in that regard. I don't know.
I want to.
But I also want to say, I think that while I did have fun with this, the gimmick wears off about halfway through for me.
Yeah, I agree.
So I did still have some chuckles towards the end, especially that line where she says, "You guys believe it's a snowman?" And she goes, "It's Christmas." I also like she goes, "Everyone in town's here," and I was like, "Yeah, all 48 of us."
Yeah, I really liked and thought it was so well shot in a dumb way. Again, it knew what it wanted to do in these moments. The scene where he was trying to get the neighbor unstuck from the ditch in the road, and they both had an orgasmic time getting that unstuck,
Yeah.
man. They were both pretty funny in that. But the standout moment of that is his arm. If you go back and watch it, was way too pumped up for that. I mean, like he was, and that's not natural.
Too hot.
So you might.
I
I'm
got
no
one-
doctor, but
I
you
had
might want to check
Vein
that
was
out.
like almost outside of his skin.
I got something that I questioned in
Scott
this movie,
Steiner-esque.
in this town of Hope Springs.
Yeah.
Why is it that this strange man who appeared in town naked is within like hours chaperoning the middle school dance? And then
With no
why are
effort.
so many adults with no kids hanging out at the middle school dance?
There was a lot of them. There was like
Why did like the pivotal moment of this movie take place at the middle school dance?
the child to citizen rate is way too high. Seemingly, they've got too many kids for this town, for the amount of because mostly what we see for the rest of this movie is like people in their like 50s and 60s hanging out at the diner. Like most of this town is over the age of 50.
Yeah.
So whose kids are these?
But all the kids and their school are cool.
No background check for dumb Frosty though.
Yeah,
None
kids are
needed.
cool.
No one's been
For
murdered
Himbo
in 100
Frosty.
years. So
true.
that made me laugh. Just that this is so much of
Something's
this is
working.
taking place at school for some reason, even though there's no like kids as main characters in the movie.
Because in the small towns, Josh, the community helps out. Whether you have kids there or not, it is a community to help these kids in school.
Try that in a small town.
Good luck. Yeah, I don't think I have anything. I think that was my last note. Is I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the movie is very silly and goofy, and if you are prone to enjoying these types of movies, you probably already know that about yourself. You'll probably like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Also, just throw this out there. It has a blooper reel, so I always like a good blooper reel at the end of a film. So stick around for that.
It does. It is fun. Nice. We love a nice blooper reel. I actually tried to. I found this clip of Lacey and Dustin on the Today Show promoting this. It's a laugh because this movie is very hard to promote. You can tell.
I know it almost breaks one of my Christmas rules. It gets very close. We don't see any full on nudity, but it toes the line.
I just mean they have to talk about this movie so seriously, and it is.
Oh yeah.
Very funny to listen to Gail ask, what's it like to play a snowman?
Yeah. How do you get into that?
And this guy's like, it's actually the most fun I've had on set.
Do you know, probably one of the more unintentional laughs of the movie is if you're watching this with someone, it is quite a bit funnier because when they were out there, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie yet, but when they were out there trying to round up $2,000 to pay the bail while Jack's locked in jail, and they're taking forever to have this conversation. Nikki looks at me and she goes, wouldn't it be so funny if they go inside and he's already a puddle? And I was like, it would be if all this time they wasted out there trying to get this sorted out. They go inside and it's just a pair of boots and it's just a big puddle. It would have been hilarious.
That would have been good. That would have been good. All right, well, let's give our final thoughts and ratings then. It's a good... It's not a good movie, I don't think. But it's a fun... It's okay. I think it could have been better. I just got to spit it out. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. I don't think I just can't.
I don't think that's wrong. These movies, again, they have a certain threshold for me. They know what they want to be, and it knocked it out of the park of what it wanted to be for about the first half, and then it kind of stalled in moments and here and there. So yeah, 2.5 I think is a perfectly fair place for it.
Excellent.
Yeah, I'm gonna go higher than I normally would for
This kind of movie.
Yeah, normally for a movie that's like sort of like unintentionally funny, I would go with like a 1.5. But I think this actually does try to get some laughs out of you, and some of them are more subtle and some of them are more obvious. I told you that the starting point was 2 stars. This actually did raise up just a little bit, so I'm gonna go with 2.5. I did chuckle, I did have fun. I don't think I'd rewatch it though.
Look at that, a perfect 2.5 from all 3 of us. I love it. Okay, well, let us go ahead and jump right into the letterbox game. See what the folks... I'm actually really excited to see this part.
So Garrett, so Josh, you are up first. Garrett has the lead with 21.
Ooh, game changer.
Yeah,
I'm up first.
you're up first.
Excellent. Okay, well, let's look at some of these reviews first. 3.5 stars. The moral of the story is that all you have to do to convince people to believe in the magic of Christmas is make them horny.
That's true. There was a lot of horniness.
4 stars. A masterpiece that could only be better if the snowman was played by Andy Samberg.
It would have made it better, I'll be honest.
5 stars. Okay, but who amongst the Hope Springs community built the hot guy snowman in the first place?
Exactly.
It's a
This
fair
was
question.
a key point.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a couple more. This is for the Brooklyn Nine-Nine fans. 2 stars. Was not expecting that Charles Boyle and Doug Judy reunion. I love that reference. Very
I love
funny.
Doug Judy.
And then finally, 1 star. This implies that someone sculpted cock and balls out of snow.
They weren't there.
It
They
implies
weren't there.
it.
We know that. We saw below.
Yeah, true.
All right.
Okay, well, a lot of those were funny. Even the higher rated ones were funny. I don't think this is gonna be a high rated movie though. I have to think and hope a little that we are close to the mark. So I'm gonna guess 2.3.
Oh, and then I'm next.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
that
you're
feel
not used
like?
to that,
Not
are ya?
going last anymore.
I'm usually used to going last. I will. I'll jump a little over, and I'll say 2.5. Maybe it's right where we are.
Well, I'm going to leapfrog you both. I think people are not. I think people are going to find it funny. And I think that's going to err them on the side of, like, this was better than I expected. So I don't think you're wrong. I think it's going to be closer to 3, though. I'm going to go with a 2.7.
Okay.
Ooh, 2.7. Okay.
2.7, 2.5, and 2.3. We do not have a direct hit this week, which is good news, I guess. And we all overshot this movie.
Wow.
It is sitting
man.
at a 2.1, which will make me the winner as the closest to 2.3, but 2.1 is where Letterboxd is sitting with this right now.
Wow, that's very low. Hang on. That may
People
be
did
the
not
new.
have the same thought that we did.
No.
That makes it the new lowest Letterboxd score for a movie we've done for So Many Santas, beating out 4 Christmases by 5 whole points lower. That's pretty fun.
Wow.
Okay, well that makes Josh the winner.
Nice.
Excellent. Love it.
Way to go, Josh. That puts you at 18.
Tied with you, right?
No, so it's so
Okay.
it's Josh at 18, me at 20, and Garrett at 21 with only 3 episodes to go.
Wow.
Anything can happen from here.
Fudge.
That's about neck and neck and neck.
Only I didn't say fudge.
Only I didn't say fudge. Yes. A lot of Christmas still to go. You know, we're recording this on December 1st. So we got a month left and we got a lot planned. So be sure you subscribe to the show at YouTube. Just search for So Many Sequels there, subscribe, or in your favorite podcasting app. We're on all of those as well. And then you can go to somanysequels.com and find links to our socials and our old. No, old is what I meant to say. Our previous episodes. I guess not old. Old makes them sound like trash.
Our Criterion collection. Go find our Criterion collection.
Our catalog, as it were. Go find that at somanysequels.com. All right, we will see you guys very soon with more Christmas fun. Bye.